first review video, following it on our promise when we published an earlier video today about what was released in the most recent version of Assetto Corsa and what came along with it, and we are keeping our promise. So we are going backward in our quest to become politicians because we are now following on our promises. Just kidding, guys. So the first car we present from the triple DLC, which was released by Kuno Simulazione, and as the name states, triple DLC means that these are 3 cars that you can buy, all of them in a package. And the first of those three cars that we present and review here, and we will review all of them, is the beautiful and exciting to drive Praga R1. So this car itself would be good enough reason for you guys to invest in this triple DLC, which costs really well. You will see on the OnWheelsTV post where this is allocated. How much does it cost? But it's pocket money, guys. Yeah, pocket money. No matter where you are in the world, this is pocket money, and it's definitely worth a shot because these are 3 great cars, especially when they are taking good use of the current capabilities of the sim in terms of what it allows in driving. So the Praga R1 is a very interesting project. It's a Czech car. It's a full carbon car designed for track, and it is designed around a composite monocoque, which was inspired by endurance racing prototypes. So as you can see, you will find some important similarities with endurance racing prototypes, the P cars or the LMP cars, although it doesn't have that fin. I don't know if I should call it fin like the sharks have, you know. I don't know if this is the proper name in English, but if I was to think about this specific part of the car and refer it in my language, it would be in my language, of course, but the word would mean the same as a fin, such as in a shark fin. So it doesn't have that on the rear part of the car, but it does look anyway like an endurance car, like a prototype, because it has that teardrop shape. Kind of makes it very aggressive and also very efficient aerodynamically. Also speaking in terms of aerodynamics, the car has a tremendous amount of downforce that can go up to 1.5 times its weight, and this car weighs 592 kilos, and it can go up to 3 times its weight. So it's like we were talking about 1.5 tons. So it's significant, and those are generated by its downforce. The car has, in terms of power, it counts on turbocharged engine able to produce 340 horsepower, and this car is actually used in racing. So there are specific races with this car in the Czech Republic, and also and some of this data was well, we watched it at the Assetto Corsa website. The car also generates up to 3 Gs in terms of lateral force in corners. So it has a lightweight construction, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, and the suspension setup is optimized to enhance traction and at the same time minimizing, whilst at the same time it minimizes the tire and the brake wear. And this engine requires 50 racing hours between each work, but well, I would say that this can go between 50 to 75 hours. So it is thought to be a cheap car, but an interesting car. So a cheap proposal in terms of racing, allowing people to enjoy the sensations of a lightweight car, endurance racing shaped, at a low cost, which is always important nowadays. So in terms of this car in the sim, well, definitely we drove it in 2 tracks. We drove it in one of the versions, Kunos Simulazione versions of Barcelona, and then we drove it in the recently released Monza 66 with the Sopraelevata version, so the version with the high-speed ring. And in both tracks we could realize how strong is this car in terms of traction, because it has tremendous downforce, and we do notice that on track. The car doesn't have huge power in terms of performance of the engine, so the engine and the performance works more or less in very progressively. So the car reaches definite a determined speed quite fast, but then losing speed when braking to corners, and gaining speed is not as fast as you may think, but it's, well, it's consistent with the 340 horsepower that this car produces, and you have to bear into this equation that these are 340 horsepower in a car that weighs below 600 kilos. So it will allow you to enjoy a lot its performance, and to realize how good is this car in terms of downforce and in terms of efficiency on track. And if that is noticeable in the Barcelona track, it is even more in the Monza 66 version that you are already watching. And for this footage, we decided to only include TV cam vision, so we didn't go for the onboard vision, because we think that this car is so efficient on track due to its high level of downforce that it is really not such a big deal to see this car from onboard, even in the high-speed ring, because the car is completely glued to the track, and the suspension works so efficiently that the car is glued to the track, and you almost don't feel those bumps that are normal in the high speed. For instance, in the video that we published today, using the Lotus 49 on the high speed ring, a car from 1966 or 67, around those years, well, we were always fighting with the car because the car was almost always like jumping in this area. As you can see, it's like concrete blocks, and the car was always kind of jumping and always pushing the wheel towards the outside of the turn, because it doesn't have downforce, and so it was struggling with a lot of forces at the same time. And this one, it doesn't, so it is faster even on the slow corners of the track, because it's so glued to the ground that you just have to reduce a little bit the speed, shift backwards one gear and put it inside, and then full gas, because it works to perfection in terms of its aerodynamic effort. And therefore we decided just to use it with the TV cam vision so that you could see the car a little bit better. So tomorrow, another car from this triple DLC content. Bye bye.